Hundredth from uptown, you know my sound is major. I know you like the lyrics, kid, so just do me a favor. Tell the tech to turn my dad up. This is a backup, hey, yo, don't back up. Because I wanna dive in and swim in the mentals, where your thoughts roam. I wanna make your dome my home, therefore you'll never be alone. But when you hear my song, sing along with the rhythm. Cause I got faith in fat beats that I give them. Yes, it's the ears and I'm checking out the blonde one. Maybe I can have one, maybe I can con one. Chill, I'm one with God, brothers, it's hard to stay straight until you're scared straight, and then you can't wait to get out.
Oh man, you know, I just got this picture in my mind of a bunch of monkeys swinging on the trees and tossing bananas to each other, having a great old time. And there's so many more than 100 of them there, Ramon. I mean, we're talking millions and millions and maybe even billions of monkeys swinging around, playing on the ropes, eating good, fresh bananas, non-GMO, by the way. Just having a gay old time. You know, and that's the vision I'm, well, maybe not exactly that actual to the letter vision that I'm holding for us, but, you know, I'm holding a awesome vision for our future, and I'm extremely optimistic about the way things have been going here on this planet, despite all the darkness that we actually can see when we look out our windows or turn on the TV. I mean, you turn that crap on, and you know, you're just absolutely bombarded with the negativity and the mind control and the you know, you have to look better than the Joneses, or you know, somebody will laugh at you, or you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it's just I'm so glad I got rid of my TV.
I thought the saying was keep up with the Ramones.
Oh, keep up with the Ramones?
Yeah. Well, maybe it's my pronunciation.
You're listening to the 100th Monkey Radio, Tom and Ramon. We are recording this on May 20th of 2013, and it is approximately 5 p.m. Pacific time. And
9 a.m. Tokyo time.
Yeah. Good morning, Ramon.
Good morning. You know, I want to mention again about the during the live show on Saturday, I was talking about the what's it called, the guerrilla gardening.
Oh, right.
So yeah, so it's something I've been looking into, and I'm gonna try to find some hardy seeds. So Tom, if you have any recommendations, because
I know a couple of websites that I buy from. One's called Victory Seeds. I'll send you a link to it, and I can actually post a link on the website if I haven't already. I think I already have it on there in our sustainable future page, whatever we call that.
Yeah.
But I believe I have a link for that website there, and it's all heritage type seeds. So might be a good place to start.
Yeah, let me just explain what guerrilla gardening is. There's two ways of going about it. One way, which is the one I think I prefer, which is called, they call it, you make a seed bomb, and there's different ways of making them, and this has no explosives. So it's basically, you take some clay, you put seeds inside, like not regular clay, but
mud pies.
Mud pies, basically.
There you go.
And
back to our childhood here.
And you put the seeds in there, and then you go to these empty, atrocious parking lots or places that look abandoned, and you just throw them in there, and let nature take its course. And it's probably best if you do it after it rains, or right before it rains, or during the rain, so it can soak up. You don't want to do it on a really hot day, because then it would just dry out and the seeds won't germinate.
Yeah, you know, if people get out there and do that, I'd be really curious if any of our listeners decide that this is a great idea and they start doing this, if they would be so kind as to drop us an email and let us know what kind of results they got.
And take pictures too.
Yeah, life is tenacious. I mean, life is tenacious. It will survive. It will live. I mean, you know, I was out in the parking lot at work. You got this big blacktop parking lot in front of the building there, and probably, oh geez, 100 feet from the edge of this parking lot, I looked down, and coming through, just right out in the middle of the parking lot, no cracks in this blacktop or anything, but coming right out of the top of this parking lot was a dandelion. Just started growing right through everything. I mean, I guess there was a little hole there or that dirt collected in, and the dandelion decided that's a good spot to grow. And you know, we've talked about how stuff grows in places like that before, and that just popped into my mind and went, oh my God, life is tenacious.
Yeah, the dandelion is amazing because the reason why they're able to do that, they have this. Even if you like rip it out, first of all, their root is about 1 meter long. That's 3 feet long or a yard long. And they have this little, like, kind of spaghetti type oozy kind of white thing. If you rip the dandelion out, it leaves that behind. So that kind of acts as a guide for it to regrow. So that's why they're so tenacious. They're able to grow through the concrete so well. And a lot of the weeds are the same way.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it is. You know, you give it a chance and it will grow. So, but on the other side of things, the actual intentional cultivation is going quite well in my garden out back. I've got all my peas are all coming up now, and the potatoes are coming up, and the tomatoes are doing good, and yeah, I'll have to take some shots of my garden again this year and pop them on the website. It's actually shaping up quite nicely so far.
Yeah, I haven't planted all the seeds that I have, but the yuzu tree is looking amazing. I put the leaves were looking really badly before, and I kind of, went next and I was like, what's wrong? And then I got the hit that it was like lack of nutrition in the pot. So I put a piece of fish halfway in between the pot, and the leaves are so like vibrant green. So I'm really excited.
Nice. So before we get into this, with our guest tonight, let me let you guys know our Truth Frequency show on Saturday nights. This next Saturday we have, or actually last night, this is airing the day after this goes, we had George LeBono on, and all of that is on the in the archives on Truth Frequency. So you guys are welcome to go and check that out.
Yeah, and even on the website, you can go to archives and you'll see one of them that says True Frequency. If you click on that, it'll take you to a page with all the archives we have from the live shows.
Okay. All right. So,
Who do we have?
Well, tonight we have Betsey Lewis. She's an author, an international intuitive talk show host, and Earth Mysteries investigator. Believes she inherited the gift of prophecy from her mother. 2 major UFO events transformed her early life. At the age of 8 months, she and her parents had a terrifying UFO encounter on a deserted road in northwestern Idaho. And again, at age 7, she was chased by a massive silver disc while walking home from first grade. Shortly after her second UFO encounter, she experienced recurring dreams of cataclysmic earth changes now taking place worldwide. A large percentage of her dreams and visions have proven remarkably accurate. Betsey remembers a message was given to her as a small child regarding the fate of Earth and humanity. But the entire content of the message was purposely erased from her memory until recently. For the first time, the message is revealed in her new nonfiction book, Angels, Aliens, and Prophecy: The Connection. Now, I'm gonna forego the rest of the bio here, but she's also got another book that I think may be out now. We'll have to ask her about that, and that is all about the number 13, which it's called Mystic Revelations of 13, I believe. Betsey
Yeah.
Lewis, welcome to the Hundredth Monkey Radio.
Oh, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Ramon. Great to be on the show again.
Is Mystic Revelations of 13 out yet?
Yes, it is. It's on Amazon, Kindle, and in print.
Oh, that's awesome. And if you guys want to check out her website while we are chatting tonight, you can check her out at www.betseylewis.com. That's BETSEYLEWIS.com.
Betsy, you also have a kid's book out as well.
I do. It's under my pen name, Jane B. Lewis, and it's called Rainbow Eyes. It's been out for some time now, and it teaches children how to connect with Earth and trust their intuition. I think it's really important with everything that's going on right now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You know, I wish Ramona and I have talked on this point quite a few times about the children and how they're being taught and raised, especially today, and the lack in our history of actual open-minded teaching, so to say.
Oh, you are so right. You know, there's so many new children coming in right now, and they want to heal the earth, but what's really sad is they have parents that don't understand how to raise them. Some are into drugs. And so these children are learning such negative things, and you know, we should cherish them and teach them spiritual values, and that's not happening with many children. I know there are children that are being taught this, but you know, it's sad what's going on right now, and there's so much materialism and negativity. Kids don't know how to connect with Earth. And that's what they should be doing right now. You know, trust their intuition. Many of these children are coming in with incredible gifts right now. And I'm sure you've seen that or talked about it, you know, and, with art, with intuitive, they're psychic, they just know who they are and where they're going and what they want to do. But we've got to help them.
Right. I did it when Ramona and I first started the radio show a couple of years ago. We started doing this experiment that Dr. Masayomoto, we got the idea from him. It's called the rice experiment. And this gave me an excellent metaphor for the children of the planet. You take 3 equal amounts of rice and water in 3 containers, and you put love on one container, hate on the other container, and ignore on the other one. And every day you say, I love you to give good feelings, emotions, etc. towards the love glass. Then the hate one, you go, I hate you, I want you to die, blah, blah, you know, just negative, nasty, ugly emotions towards it. And you ignore the third one and watch the process of the rice deteriorating and decaying. Well, the love glass stays pristine for an amazing amount of time. As a matter of fact, I started this 2.5 years ago, and I still have the glasses sitting on my windowsill, and the love glass still has no decay in it. The hate glass is got some black spots, and it's kind of yellowish and gooey and slimy looking, and it looks pretty nasty. But the ignore, I was totally shocked at how horribly nasty and cruddy, it's disgustingly rotten the ignore glass was. And when I started seeing the results out of this, the first thing that popped into my head is our children and how we raise our children. You know, those kids that we pay the attention to, you know, the give that love and cherishing attention to that fostering their own inspirations, their own ideas. Those children do wonderful in this world. The ones that we hate, the ones that we yell at all the time, everything. Okay, yeah, well, they're going to have some spots and some ugly stuff, but at least they're getting some attention. The ones that we ignore, those are the ones that go to hell. Those are the ones that go to you know, just nasty. But I saw that as an excellent metaphor for what's happening with our children.
Oh, you were so right. You're so right about that. You know, and everything is vibration. And these children are so sensitive. You know, they just don't have role models. and look who the role models are. You know, our celebrities out there, what kind of role models are they? I mean, it's ridiculous. And, you know, we just don't have the values that we're teaching these children. It's so important, you know, but we have to realize that everything is vibration. And I think right now our vibrations are being lowered by the dark side, and I'm going to call them the family of dark, because they are out there with all the negativity, you know, the control, what they're doing to destroy our earth. There's just so much going on right now.
Yeah, yeah. You know, there's a couple of different camps out there as far as what's going on that shadow side, on whether or not it is just a natural evolution of our standard consumerism capitalistic society. You know, the greed factor that is creating all of this versus an intentional and conscious effort to dumb down, to basically kill off, because I mean, just look at the crap that they're doing. You know, the GMOs and the radiations and the oils and all the different things that are happening on the planet. You know, there's two camps there that say it's a natural evolution of our society and that there's an intention behind it. Where do you stand there?
Well, Tom, I don't know about how you feel, but I think they're intentionally doing it, and I think they're crazy. They are. You know, this planet is the only one we have that, and I don't know, we can't go to Mars or any other place. Maybe they think they can, but you know, we all live here, and if we destroy Earth, we're not going to be here any longer. We're going to be extinct like the dinosaurs. You know, it's insanity out there, run amok.
Yeah, definitely.
I think they know what they're doing. You know, we've got the chemtrails, and I believe there's something going on with that. It's been going on since the 90s, and I've been photographing and watching it. And like you said, so much with what's going on, the fracking that's going on, there's just no respect for Mother Earth, because she is a living entity, and we just don't, you know, we have to learn how to honor and respect everything on this earth. Everything is alive and has a consciousness.
Right.
Yeah, you know, at the same time, with all that happening, I kind of feel like, I hate to say it this way, but it's like a contrast for many people. So, for example, with the children that are growing up in really bad environments, unfortunately, not all of them, but some of them, it actually works as a huge contrast, and they're like, I don't want to be this way. I don't want to live in this kind of society. So it kind of forces them to change, compared to if they, and not saying that they should grow up in this kind of environment, but compared to if they grew up in a different environment, they probably wouldn't be as active because of the comfort zone. So basically what I'm saying is that a lot of them probably chose this life to have a contrast, and then so when they get older, they become a change.
Sometimes they do, Ramon. I don't know if all of them do, but
no, not all of them
do. Some of them don't, and you know, what they don't have are the spiritual values, you know, and what this reality really is, and who's going to teach them. You know, that's the problem. Watching TV and all the electrical, you know, stuff that we're involved in, the electronics, they just don't know how to connect with Earth. And I'm so thankful that I had that when I was growing up. And, you know, I saw pristine lakes. Many of these lakes now that I grew up around are already, you know, polluted. And, you know, when you think about all these beautiful things that have changed.
So let's go back into Betsey Lewis and how she got her start. Now, we touched lightly on some stuff that happened early in your life. Would you care to share with our listeners, you know, how that unfolded for you?
Oh, absolutely. Well, it began in 1950, and I was only 8 months old. My parents were attending the University of Moscow, Idaho, in northwestern Idaho, and I, of course, being so young, of course, I didn't recall the story they had told me through the years, but they decided to take a trip to southern Idaho where my grandparents and other relatives lived so they could show them their new baby, who was me. That was me. And so they left on a Friday afternoon. This was October, towards the end of October. And they were in an area called New Meadows, Idaho. And it was dark. They hadn't seen a car for miles. It was kind of a hilly area where a lot of ranches were. And out of nowhere, I mean, this came on so suddenly, this horrendous sound just vibrated the whole car. And they thought, their first thought was a plane was going to crash on them. That was the only thing they thought they were done for. It was so intense and right on them, this noise. And my father remembered pulling over to the side. They jumped out. There was nothing there, nothing in the sky. I mean, the sound stopped. It was just like somebody had turned off a faucet. It stopped. And that was the story they had told me for years. And then my uncle in 1980 happened to ask me if I'd heard this story. And I said, yes, they had talked about it. He said, well, did they mention that they had lost 2 hours in time? And I said, no.
Wow.
Wait a minute. No, they didn't tell me that. And he says, well, it reminded me of the classic Betty and Barney Hill case where they lost a couple of hours in time and couldn't account for it on this lonely road in New Hampshire in 1961. And so I thought that was really weird, you know, and around that time, I decided that I wanted to be regressed, and I started looking for people who could regress my mom and I. And we lived in Los Angeles at the time, so I contacted Bud Hopkins, who was famous. He passed away just, a few years ago, but he was known for abductee investigation. And he referred me to MUFON, which is Mutual UFO Network in Los Angeles. And I was hooked up with Ann Druffel, who is well known for her books on abductions. And she wrote the classic book, The Tujunga Canyon Contacts. So Ann Druffel and her assistant actually regressed my mom and me in 2 separate sessions, and we uncovered some pretty strange things.
So what did you guys uncover, if you don't mind speaking about that?
No, I don't. Well, my mom's case, I wasn't able to listen to it at the time when she did it. They didn't want me to be influenced by what she said. But when I listened to the playback of the tape, she was horribly frightened. I mean, you could hear the fear in her voice that something was there. She kept telling my father not to roll down the window, that there was something out there. She felt something was going to kidnap me and abduct them, but she didn't know what. She didn't say what. And there was just this fear, and she could smell something strange outside. She thought there was a horse that ran across the road. That was pretty much her take on it. But I went a step further with actually saying we were taken aboard a ship with gray aliens, and I didn't feel any fear, but I felt that we were examined and put back in the car. And what was interesting was I described the blanket that covered me, which, you know, I didn't know about. My mother said that everything I described was so perfect. So, you know, you probably ask, well, how can an 8-month-old baby recall all this? But they say we remember, the subconscious remembers everything even before we're born, you know.
Right. So after that, you did note that in first grade you actually had an encounter also?
Oh, yes, I did. Well, you know, during the 50s, there was a lot of things going on and a lot of UFO reports. And Idaho had a lot of them. But the day that my experience happened, it was fall again. I remember that I had just started first grade, and I had to walk home just a few blocks, which wasn't far, on a normally busy street. But that day it was overcast, and I remember walking along the street, and it just wasn't busy like it usually was. And usually somebody would be walking along on the sidewalk, but that day there was no one. And I felt something watching me. And when I looked up in the sky, here was this huge, massive silver disc up there. And it seemed to increase and decrease in size. And it's just really strange. It seemed to follow me. I was frightened, of course, thinking, oh my gosh, what is this? And of course we called them flying saucers then, not UFOs, unidentified flying objects. But I remember hiding in the bushes. I remember running. I remember yelling out. There was no one around. I finally ran in a different direction, which is really strange why I didn't run home. But I ran in a different direction, went to a house, and this is the really weird part. Maybe this is a screen memory, I don't know. But I knocked on a door and no one answered, and I walked in. The door was unlocked, and I hid under a bed. And that's what I remembered. And finally I got home. My mom was frantic. She thought something had happened to me because I wasn't home on time. I was like 45 an hour late. So something happened in that time, and we walked outside and looked around. There was nothing in the sky, but it was interesting. A little old lady was in the neighborhood, and I asked her if she had heard anything, and she said there were other children that had seen the same thing that day, but nothing was reported in the news about it.
Wow.
I know. It was weird. And I've had many other things happen to me which I can't explain, really strange paranormal, paranormal things. And when we lived in a house in Twin Falls, there was a lot of poltergeist activity, which might have been related to ETs, I don't know, but there was some strange things going on.
Yeah, I think people who get have those types of experiences probably have at least from what I've been able to observe, they have a higher incident rate of the other anomalous paranormal sort of situations, like the poltergeist and that sort of thing. I know
Right.
I know I sure have.
Have you?
While you were recounting your first grade thing, I just had a flash of a memory, and I haven't thought of this for years and years and years.
Really?
When I was like, I think I was 5. I remember running home terrified because there was something in the sky that blocked out the majority of the sky.
Really?
And
What is that?
what year?
Mm-hmm.
Probably 1965, 1966, somewhere in
Okay.
there.
Okay.
And this was up in the Puget Sound area, Seattle area.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that memory just came popping back into my mind for some reason. Yeah.
What a coincidence, huh, Tom?
Yeah, right.
I'm glad I triggered that for you, Tom.
Yeah.
I haven't thought of that in so long, Betsy. And when I first started digging into the UFO thing, I remembered that incident. But for some reason, it's one of those memories that slips out of the consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Kind of
Sure.
bizarre. So, I've heard a lot of reports from people that when they do have contact experiences of some kind, that they receive what a lot of people have termed as a download, and that through time and meditation and the intent to find out what happened, things start unpacking from that incident. More and more comes through and is revealed about what you actually saw, experienced, were given, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Have you found this to be so for yourself? And if so, what kind of things were shared?
Wow, Tom. I did right after that incident in first grade. It was, I just felt that a message had been given to me. and I couldn't remember what it was. I knew it was important, but it was erased from my memory. And I started having these recurring dreams over and over of massive earth changes. And in all the dreams that I kept having, I would see, violent winds. I would see great big waves coming in. I would be with a group of people trying to escape volcanoes that were erupting. I felt the earth shaking. It was really strange, and it was very frightening to me. I had no idea, but I just knew that there was a message given to me. And I know many people that have had UFO alien experiences talk about this, that they were given a message, and many claim that it had to do with Earth, which is really interesting. Have you felt that way, Tom?
Absolutely. I haven't really had the premonition stuff, not so much, but I get flashes of, or what I call instinctual knowings, things that just come to me that just feel like they resonate so strongly with me, and it feels like it's true.
Right, and you know it's right.
Right.
It happens. I get that all the time. I wish I could turn it on and off, but it just comes, and you go, oh yeah. And I'll tell you one thing that really stood out. Lately I've known about earthquakes. I will get dizzy, but another thing that's happened was when the Sandy Hook shootings took place. The morning I woke up before it happened, I had the darkest, heaviest feeling I've ever felt in my whole life. I knew something was going to happen that morning. I didn't know what, but sure enough, it did.
Yeah.
It's really incredible, and I don't know where that came from, but I've had those feelings all through my life, and I know many people that have had those characteristics. There's kind of a common theme that kind of, with all abductees, that they have nosebleeds, or they have dreams of flying. They feel paralyzed sometimes. They've had the scoop-shaped scars. They think they've had implants. They experience missing time, which I've had many, many times, affecting electronic equipment. I do that all the time.
I do that also.
Do you? I'll go into a store and like a whole row of lights go out, and my husband just shakes his head. He's going, oh my gosh, not again.
Oh, yeah. Almost every morning on my way to work, I'll have a street light or two go out. Almost every single day.
See, yeah. And also increased psychic ability, which it sounds like you've had. So there's all that.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting place to be at this time.
It is.
Oh, so Ramon, you got a question? Go for it.
No, I was just gonna mention I haven't had that much as you guys, but it's funny. I've had more in the what I think is more of the dream version. But one time, I grew up in New York City, and we used to always go to this huge there's this huge cathedral, and we would climb over the gates late night and go there. And I remember part of this, like running back, but I don't remember this part. And a friend of mine tells me, like years later, like, yeah, do you guys remember when you were telling me that you guys saw a UFO? And I was like, nah, we must have been lying or something. He was like, no, you guys were scared. And I was like, I don't remember that. So I try asking other friends, and of course, they just blew it off, like, whatever. And they didn't even give it much mind. So I always wondered about that part. He's convinced that we saw something, but he wasn't there with us to see it. So I always wonder about that.
Well,
there's
go ahead.
I was just going to say a recent poll that claims that 8 million people alone in the United States believe they've been abducted, and that's only in the United States.
Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
That's a big number.
Yeah.
It is. It is.
That's a busy night if you're a Gray.
Yeah.
I wonder if they get paid
They're
overtime.
Like they're everywhere.
Yeah. So what do you think is your reason why they abducted you and your family? Why you guys?
Well, it seems that most abductions have gone on through generation to generation. It's passed along, and I would say with what my mother believed and the things that she experienced, I would say that she had been abducted many times through her childhood. And who knows, I don't know other family members that might have been, but I think so. And I know that my daughters talked about abduction, and so I think it does run in families.
I've heard you mention your mother was an out-of-body traveler.
Oh, she was. She was amazing. She influenced me so much. We would play games together with ESP. We like I would, before there was voicemail or anything to record messages on phones, I would know who was calling. I would tell her the phone was going to ring and who it was. But she could astral project, and many people claimed that when we moved to Los Angeles, they would see her still in Idaho. But it was just incredible. And she believed in reincarnation. She remembered a past life in China as a laborer building the Great Wall of China. And she was actually buried inside. And that wasn't really known during that time, that there were people buried inside the Great Wall.
Right. From what I understand and from what has come out here in recent history, there's quite a few people that are buried in that wall.
Right.
Yeah.
She remembers the vials of opium. She remembered so much about that life. That was the incredible thing. And what was interesting, going to college, she wrote a thesis on the Earth shifting.
Oh.
So where did she get that? That was in 1948, and people weren't talking about the Earth shifting, the poles shifting.
Interesting.
So did she know something? I think so.
Yeah. So, do you find that the other people who've had these kind of experience, because I know you do a lot of investigation and you have your own radio show as well.
Right.
Do you find that there's this same common thing as you describing, like with your mother? Well, let me go back, and how was your grandmother? How was her mother?
I don't know. My grandmother died when I was 12, and my grandfather on my father's side, he died when I was like 8 years old, and then my mother was adopted. So I don't know. That's a big question mark. I really don't know.
So this has been pretty much a lifelong passion for you then?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you, after you got out of school, what direction did you go with all this? How did you proceed with all of it?
Well, actually, living in Los Angeles, I ended up working for the studios, which is kind of interesting. I worked for the Disney studio in Burbank. I worked for CBS. I worked for the news channel at CBS for many years. And then I went into the studio. I actually was doing different jobs. And then at Disney, I was at promotion for the plush toys that they had. And I was working on Who Framed Roger Rabbit at the time. And I worked for Warner Brothers. I was doing some temp work for a while there at Warner Brother Records in Burbank. So I kind of had a diverse background. I worked for brokerage firms for many years there. So, I didn't really get into, I had my paranormal experiences, but I wasn't doing anything really paranormal then. When the 1971 earthquake hit, I was living in Los Angeles for 3 nights in a row. I dreamed of a huge earthquake and knew I'd be okay. And the morning it hit, and I was working at a brokerage firm, I was up like at 5 o'clock and dressed before it actually hit. So I knew I was being warned. And, I've always listened to my guardian angels or my spirit guides whenever they're telling me, these recurring dreams.
And so, when did you actually start becoming very active in the whole paranormal and prophetic end of things?
Well, it's been kind of a progression through the years. I was involved with the Mobius group in Los Angeles, which Ann Druffel was a part of. I had no idea. That was Stephen Schwartz's little group, and he had all these psychics working for them. I did some temp work for him there, and it was kind of interesting that they were trying to stop a lot of the crime that was going on. They would go out in a van certain nights and meditate and try and bring in all this positive energy, like in certain areas of Los Angeles. And it was amazing what they were doing. They were also finding people that were lost or couldn't be found in areas. A lot of remote viewing information, and Stephen Schwartz was also into psychic archaeology. He went to Egypt and did some research there. But again, I ran into Ann Druffel, so she's been a good friend all these years, which is kind of interesting. Small world.
Right, yes, it is. With that kind of work, what did you find the most amazing thing, like especially when you go to these heavy crime areas?
Well, I wasn't involved with that. I wish I could have been, but I wasn't. And I wish I could have been at the time, but I wasn't. I didn't stay too long with that. I was just doing some temp work in the office for Stephen Schwartz at the Mobius group.
Okay.
But what was interesting, I was always searching with different religions. I tried to check out many different religious and meditation, Buddhism. I was involved during the 90s with Native Americans throughout the Northwest and into Canada, powwows and also sweat lodges and vision quests and always that searching and looking for answers. So there's always been that, and of course the UFOs. I read anything I can get my hands on.
Right.
Yeah.
And you also do research into the whole UFO thing besides your own experiences.
Oh, I do. And, I've had people write to me. I've had other people tell me their experiences. I've had, I should say, I have an aunt that had a UFO experience. And my two cousins were with her, and it was in Idaho. They were going along a road, and it was kind of like out of Close Encounters of a Third Kind, the movie, where Richard Dreyfuss is stopped at this railroad crossing, right? And he thinks there's a car behind him. He's motioning the car to go by, and all of a sudden it just starts racing up and going over him. Well, they had that experience. It was pretty frightening to them.
Wow. Were they, I always wonder about this part, how accurate is that part where he's just like completely sunburned?
I know, yeah. That's one thing I was wondering about, because I don't, there's only one case, and that was in Texas, where a family was driving along, and it sounds like something that the military was doing, because they had severe radiation burns, and they tried to sue and everything. I think they died of cancer, all of them, eventually. But, there were no answers from the military, but all these helicopters came out when this thing was having its problems, this UFO, and hovering over the people. I can't remember their names, but that was a famous case.
Yeah, there was another case, and I can't remember where it was like an older man, and there was a saucer on the ground, and he went up to it, and he was asking them, like, do you guys need help? Are you guys okay? And then when the saucer went to take off, it kind of like burned his stomach.
Wow, interesting. Yeah, there are some cases where that happened and others not. So I wonder if that's not military doing some kind of testing,
that brings up with the abductions. How much of that do you think it's my lab, and how much of that do you think it's actual aliens?
I think there's a lot of military intervention going on. I think maybe mind control too, in some cases with the military and what they've been doing. They've been doing a lot of experimentation since the 40s on unwilling people that didn't even know that they were doing these experiments. It's amazing what they've been doing. And, it's still going on, I think.
Yeah, there's a ton of that's been released already, and under the Freedom of Information Act, and I know that they didn't stop all their testing programs.
Oh no, they were testing from 1942 to 1945 with chemical warfare, mustard gas experiments on 4,000 servicemen. Of course, in the nuclear or atomic testing that. Nobody was wearing anything protective out there in the desert when they were doing all that testing in Nevada and the Southwest, and the people that died from cancer years later, nobody said anything. They were guinea pigs.
Right. So you had these experiences while you were young. Have you? What about other experiences since then? How many do you still get visitations, or do you have any kind of an open channel to, let's say, non-locals?
Well, Tom, I don't know if I've had any visitations recently. I know when there's UFOs in the area, and I always get that feeling. The last major thing that I had happen was on a little camping trip in 1996, I think it was, in Idaho. And a friend and I were at a hot springs and had walked back, and it was getting late, and we decided to just camp out in some sleeping bags in the back of his Blazer. And we were in a deep sleep. We were backed into an area where there was a lot of brush and fallen trees and just really dense area of bushes and everything, and no one could be back there. But we both woke up at the same time, and I could hear like someone like going past us and speaking in some kind of weird language. I couldn't understand anything. It was just all garbled and weird, and I couldn't move. It was like I was paralyzed. It was so very strange. But the next minute that I could get up, I sat up, looked around, got a flashlight, and looked behind me, and there was nothing back there. If someone was running through that area, which they would have had to, they would have stumbled without having some kind of flashlight. There was no light, there was no nothing. So that was pretty strange in itself. So I think that there was some kind of event that happened that night. And I just felt that there had been something there, something otherworldly or something.
Right.
That contacted us. Yeah, there's been other strange things. And of course, a year before 9/11, I had the strangest dream I have ever had. The dream was so clear, and it was symbolic. Of course, I didn't understand it was symbolic, but what I saw in the dream was this giant apple tree, and it had leaves and apples on it, and suddenly the leaves started to shrivel and everything, and the whole tree was just sucked straight down into the ground. I woke up.
Wow.
Shaking, it was just too strange. And of course, a year later was 9/11, and New York is known as the Big Apple.
Right.
Yeah. And the way it happened, I knew that the towers were, there was some kind of explosives that were used, not those planes that brought them down. I knew there's more to the story. We've been lied to again, and we've been lied to about many, many things.
Yeah.
Well, You know, the funny thing that you bring up, Betsy, is if you think about the dream, and the apples were starting to shrivel up, and then the tree was sucked down. That doesn't sound like
Right.
any kind of explosives to me. So I think they were telling you because, what's her name, Tom? There's
Uh,
a lady. I can't remember her name. There's a lady who believes it was some kind of energy weapon because
Judy Wood.
the yeah, Judy Wood, because the rate of disintegration is just
Right.
you can't really do that with explosives, is what she believes, and she's like a hardcore scientist, so she really looked into this, um, and it makes sense. You know, it's just like Building 7. I don't understand
Right.
why that building would even fall, and better
Yeah,
yet,
there's no
it was
reason.
announced. It was announced beforehand.
Yeah, we're gonna pull it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, those two buildings when they were both down on the ground, there's no way a pile less than 3 stories high was left over from a 110-story building.
Yeah.
You know that pile of rubble afterwards should have been, at least 10 stories tall, and at least that wide.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's
Yeah.
just
So.
too many weird things, isn't there, about that?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And what really amazes me is that the masses, the masses, the people out there that I guess maybe it's they just don't want to look at it because what they see, if they have to actually really look at it and answer those logical questions to themselves, they're going to
Right.
have to come to some conclusions that are going to be very uncomfortable for them.
Exactly. They don't want to know the truth.
Let's
Well,
stick my head deeper in the sand.
well,
Yeah.
it's kind of I put it as the same thing as like when you find out that somebody in your family did something horrific, you don't even want to you don't even want to know.
You
It's like
don't.
that
You
part
don't.
of you is like, a worst case example, your mom or your dad was in a very sketchy life or is in a very sketchy life, and you just like, oh no, the denial kicks in real fast.
Oh, doesn't it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
So,
I think we're all beginning to awaken, though, aren't we? I mean, we've been asleep for so long. It's time to wake up.
well, it's
Well,
happening, and that's something that I've also noted on quite a few shows is that all the darkness and all the negativity that we witness in this world is a double-edged sword. Now,
Hmm.
it may be doing these horrific things out in the world, but those things that are getting plastered across the world through the internet and on television, et cetera, is having an effect on people's consciousness. It's having an effect on making people actually ask questions. And no one's going to ever wake up unless they start to ask the questions. So it does have that double-edged sword and has that silver lining within it. So got to consider
yeah,
that also.
that's
So,
very
so
true.
Betsy, here's a question for you. How do you? I know you've mentioned that you get some of these things in dreams. Do the majority of your foresights come through dreams, or do you get them through other means also?
A big percentage, but I'm like you. Sometimes I just have this feeling like, well, I'll give you an example of this was 8 years ago, and my husband and I were going to Reno, Nevada with a friend. We were driving on this weird road that goes up through Oregon and then comes down. I can't think of the highway, but it's like 2-lane highway, and it's no place to turn off. There's just a small little edge to it. There was a lot of big trucks coming through there, semis, and they were moving those prefab homes, and we were driving along, and I was driving at the time, and something told me that I needed to drive that day, but out of the clear blue, there was a car that started coming right at us. I mean, it was coming head on at us. And what I did was I calmly, it was like something just took over, something told me to pull over as far as I could on the shoulder of the road, and there wasn't much of a shoulder. And I took my foot off the brake, and according to my husband, this car missed us by inches. And it kept going down the road on the wrong side. It wasn't weaving, like, you know, if it was a drunk, you know, you'd think the person would be weaving. But it was strange. They continued down the road for miles, and we were out of range for a cell phone to notify anyone, and we couldn't turn around. There was no place to turn around. It was very strange, but I felt that day that I was guided, and I was told that I should drive. I trusted my intuition, you know, and I think we all need to do that right now with all these earth changes going on. We're being warned about things that are happening. And we have to trust our intuition. It's so important.
Well, we're definitely going to do. We're at the top of the hour, and wow, that went fast. And we'll dig into some more of that, and definitely want to touch on what you see coming in our future. And I'd like to. I'm really curious about your take on the whole 13 thing. So we'll definitely dig into that in the next hour. So. And
also some of the Lucia thing.
Oh, right. The Fatima stuff, right? Yeah. So it's www.betseylewis.com, and you can pick up both her books up there. And do you have more than 2 books or 3 books counting the children's book?
I just have the 3 books now, but I'm working on 2 more that should be out sometime in the next few months.
Oh, great. So, and she's got just a wealth of information on her website, guys. Plus, there's a player there for her radio show. And, I urge you guys to pop over to her website and check it out. Our website's www.the100thmonkeyradio. And if you are not a member yet and would care to become a supporter and member of the 100th Monkey Radio, you pop on over to our website and click that join tab, and have access to all that second hour content. So, love you guys, and we'll see you in the next segment. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
The love you deny is the pain you carry. Tom, the other one?
Wherever your imagination takes you. Oh, how's that go, Ramon?
Oh my God, it's your own quote.
I know. Wherever your imagination can take you, the technology will follow. And we'll see you guys in the second hour.
I'm gonna send you some money so you can get that tattoo on your arm.
All right, thanks, Ramon.
Shout, damn, I got freedom. Unless it's being taught, black man, I know you need one. The right sound to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. Yo, Hundredth I am, you want the plan, then that's the native. Shouldn't tell an artist not to be creative. You see, the motive is to control more than business. Hitless enoughness in the soul, and I bring much more than your average MC. Please give me a break, man. Let me be me, so I can be free to do as I please. See what I see, be who I be. And yo, act like me. I got the rhyme and my timing's from the center. Lyrics from the brain, even when I start to enter. The beats I'm bending, the vibes I'm sending, it's pleasure, never better. Even though shit is a mess, I never stress, in touch with insight, therefore I'm blessed with the armor. Tell your mama, but kill the drama. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. If you missed it, then press rewind. It's the right time to make you free your mind. Wake up. Yo. The master rhymer indiscreet. I walk the street with the knowledge, learning about things that you can't get in college, like science from the pavement, beats from the basement. My mouth full of lyrics, then the label makes the placement. Then my face went across the screen. This girl saw me getting raw to the beats with the gasoline. My self-esteem went through the roof. Stepped into the club, yo, I got juice on the MI. Now Now she's in my face, dragging me all around the place. Damn, it's a disgrace that I can't enjoy my craft, spew my math, cause I'm too busy running away from this girl with the dumb laugh. My path straight, so I lose the habit, and yo, I bounce like a rabbit. Yo, she's got the habit, cause she's chasing me. I'm out the door, kid, it's in the soul, and I'm free. The right time to make you free your mind. Wake up, if you're